All right, guys, bear with me. This is a long video here, but there's a long history of Batman 85 years to cover here. We're looking at DC Comics Batman 85th anniversary, Batman's villains here. So we're starting it off from movie to comics to cartoon, you name it. This is our collection here. So we got here, starting off the video, as you guys can see here, the Riddler, Jim Carrey from McFarlane Toys here. This is a great collectible. He was a great villain. You know what? Honestly, when you go back and watch Batman Forever, Jim Carrey pulled it off to perfection. He really was a mad Riddler with a comedic edge, of course, too. But he was pretty, a serious form of psychosis going on, as his character in the movie, and it worked really well. When you go back and watch it now, it's nostalgia, at its very finest. And honestly, I think Jim Carrey did a good job with it now that you look back at it. I mean, at the time when you watch, you're like, okay, it was a little over the top. But you know what? I think this version of the Riddler was, now that you look at it, it's fresh. It was a nice, like I said, comedic with a serious tone. And it really showed, the Riddler's psychosis mind, right? A brilliant man, but just trapped in a world of like riddles and just, yeah, it was cool. Next, a really, really underutilized villain, I think, in the Batman universe, but pretty cool. Very witty, very smart, matches up wits very well with Bruce Wayne, Hugo Strange. I mean, look, he basically took on Batman's identity. I mean, he stole Bruce Wayne's identity, basically pulled a Zartan, basically camouflaging himself as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and had everyone fooled. I mean, that's a feat on its own. Like, he figured out that Bruce Wayne was basically Batman. I mean, it's out of all the villains over 85 years, Hugo Strange basically, he did it. There he is. I mean, honestly, I think we need to see him, in live action in some Batman movies here. I think he's a really cool villain. I think they should use the storyline too with him stealing Batman's identity. I think that'd be really, really cool down the line. This is a cool McFarlane Toys figure. I mean, honestly, McFarlane has done an outstanding job this year in terms of releasing all Batman figures, including villains, Batman himself, just celebrate 85 years. I mean, now looking at it, why did McFarlane do such a good job this year? Because he knew that it was 85 years of the Cape Crusader. I mean, honestly, it's such a history, 85 years. And I don't think you can really, there's a lot of superheroes out there, but when you look at the history of Batman, you could do endless videos here over and over again, right? Here's another underutilized Scarecrow. Oh my goodness. I mean, honestly, Scarecrow is a real thorn in the side of Batman with his fear gas and just the mind games that he plays with Batman as well, too. It's, a great character. I mean, it's simple enough Scarecrow. Like, you think Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz, just, or a Scarecrow that you see in a cornfield sitting up there. DC Comics took it. Kane and the boys there took, a character that basically was using toxins and fear and mental terrorism basically on Batman and just Gotham overall, right? And these figures here from McFarlane, I mean, you see the Batman Arkham Knight one, which we just covered there, and here's Batman the animated series Scarecrow. I mean, honestly, really cool looking characters. There he is with the scythe. They're pretty cool. I mean, hanging out in a garden there, ready to prance on the Cape Crusader. I mean, honestly, Scarecrow is one of the coolest villains. I love reading DC Comics, with Scarecrow and Batman going at it back and forth. Even the cartoon with Batman, the animated series, really, really well done. And even Batman Begins, I mean, Scarecrow was a great villain in that one. I mean, that pretty much brought back the Batman franchise after it had gone into, darkness for over a decade, pretty much, right? I mean, it was almost, 8 years from like Batman and Robin to essentially Batman Begins. And Scarecrow played an, integral part of, bringing back the Cape Crusader after like an 8-year absence from, theatrical productions, and theater, just movies. And yeah, definitely Scarecrow is a staple in the DC villain Batman universe, no doubt about it. Now we're going back well in time, and I remember being a kid reading about this storyline about Joker being the Red Hood. This is going back to Golden Age. Like, you gotta remember, like, our grandparents grew up reading these comics, which is quite remarkable, and it's still going strong. This is one of the most wonderful figures I think McFarlane has actually released this year. This Red Hood, especially with the wire cape as well too. He's got, the scythe also in his hand there, taking a page out of Scarecrow's book of tricks there. And, this is basically the origins of Batman's greatest villain of all time. Knowing that underneath there, that's the Joker right there. This is what was, Batman created his arch nemesis for over 80 plus years, and this is the origin story here of basically how it all began. I mean, there's different versions of the Joker that we've, come to know over the years, but I really like this storyline, especially knowing that Joker was indeed under the Red Hood right here, and Batman threw him into the chemicals, and then he basically created his arch nemesis. You know what I mean? It's kind of like ironic. It's irony. It's very finest. This is why DC Comics, just reading them as a kid and even up to date now, it's just such brilliant storytelling. Like just the writers over the years, just the minds of these creators, they're just brilliant. There's no other way of putting it. Just absolute geniuses coming up with these storylines that intricate, take part with all these cool characters, creating these cool characters with real life storylines. You know what I mean? And that's why I think Batman and his villains here overall play such an essential part in our everyday life, because there's villains, there's heroes in everyday life that we live in, and this can be real. You know what I mean? It's not like alien invasions or anything. This is actual real people, taking on identities of either a villain and or a superhero such as the Batman. Right now we're going to Joker. Now here he is. I mean, there's Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, one of the greatest Jokers I think we've ever seen on screen here. This is the Fonjoy Joker, by the way. I love this one. I think it's great. I still think, I really do like Nicholson's Joker, but Heath Ledger brought a new part of the Joker to the front of, like, this could be a real person. You know what I mean? Like, this is a person that has a dark history, a person that basically has multiple, personalities incorporated within him, and basically wants just to basically create chaos, not just for Batman, but just civilization in general. It just, that's what he thinks needs to be done, basically, to bring order to the world. I mean, two opposites, Batman and Joker, have the same kind of like pace of what they want in life. Batman wants to bring peace and justice and ensure everyone is safe. Joker wants stability, but with using chaos to create it. So they're both at the same path, but one's taking a dark side, one's taking the righteous side, right? So anyway, it's I mean, I love it. The storylines are just awesome. There's a Revoltech Joker, which I call basically kind of like the Silver Age Joker. Really cool looking figure as well too. So it's nice having different Jokers. You have like a comic Joker, a movie Joker. If you're collecting, Batman figures or celebrating Batman Day, you can't have a video without having a comic book, version Joker along with movie Jokers. I mean, there's also Phoenix's Joker as well, Nicholson's Joker. I could have incorporated some of those videos into here, but it's just, I would be talking on and on and on here, guys. So these are two of my favorite Jokers. No doubt about it. I love that pose. That's one of my favorite poses I've ever done. It's just like basically Joker having Batman there ready to blow his head off, but he's not going to. He's not going to, because he needs Batman. It fulfills him. It keeps his drive going of chaos just go on and on. Like, it's like Batman and Joker need each other no matter what. They can't live without each other. Remember the Lego movie? Like, Joker and Batman, like, Batman was so depressed when Joker was in jail. Like, they just need each other. So anyways, yeah, this is definitely a very cool looking Joker, no doubt about it, with a cool backdrop there going ha 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 ha. And he's got his little Joker staff there and the laughing teeth as well. So if you've never got your hands on this Joker from Revoltech, this is version number 1, definitely grab it. It's a really, really cool Joker. So I mean, Joker is definitely number 1 on the list for DC villains. I don't think, especially for Batman, you can't top him, right? However, there is also her, Catwoman, who's got into the heart of Batman over the years, whether they got married, whether they were basically fighting on top of a building. The storyline with Catwoman and Batman is so enriched, where it's like, they love to hate each other, but deep down inside, they care about each other. And it's such a cool storyline, no doubt about it. So, I mean, look, Catwoman can definitely be number 1 on the list for DC villains or Batman's greatest villains, but you still got to go with Joker, I think. Catwoman is definitely number two here because, like I said, she basically purrs her way into Bruce's life, and can manipulate him with emotion, right? And her, obviously, her beauty as well, which is, you know, every man's, downfall, when it comes to women, I guess, we have our soft spots for, you know, woman for sure, right? And Catwoman utilizes her beauty and her wits to get into Batman's heart, and she does it very, very, very good over the last 80 plus years as well. So really cool. And we're still going to continue on here. We got the 66 collection here, and there's Newman against Catwoman there. I mean, you got to celebrate Batman Day with the 66 Batman series. I mean, that, a lot of us that were watching it, we weren't alive when the black and white Batman first came out. So this was my first introduction as a kid to Batman Live. You know what I mean? So definitely Adam West and all the characters here were definitely a big part of my childhood. And I think if you're celebrating 85 years of Batman, you got to have these guys in your collection for sure as well. I mean, this is, we know that it was cheeky, now that you watch it, but it's still a classic, no doubt about it. Now, one of the greatest storylines. Ooh, yes. How your brother, basically, that you grew up with, you took him, and, as a little boy, and you knew there was a dark side to him, and you took him under your wing to try to bring the good in him, but eventually you let him down, and the Joker murdered Jason Todd, and then he comes back to life and turns into a villain. Like, it's, wow, it's just like, Batman's been through so much, and he still stays strong. I mean, it's this storyline of Jason Todd turning into the Red Hood is one of my favorite stories. I mean, this is the DC Direct Red Hood that came out a few years ago. One of my favorite versions of Red Hood, to be honest with you. I absolutely love this part of the Batman the Adventure series. Yeah, looks cool, man. Definitely one of my favorite figures actually in my collection. I was about to do this video and I'm like, oh my goodness, I almost forgot about Red Hood. I'm like, how can you not? Jason Todd Red Hood, he's a huge part of the Batman, universe of villains. So definitely you got to celebrate Batman Day with Jason Todd there. There he is, unmasked there, showing Bruce, this is what you've done to me now. It's, wow, it's like, brothers, and then just turn into villains. So, again, the storytelling with DC Comics, this is why I love Marvel, don't get me wrong, but DC Comics gets into the emotional side of humanity. It's just like, what would you do if this happened to you? You know what I mean? And it does happen in real life, right? Then we got Mr. Freeze. You got to have Mr. Freeze. Especially Arnold's version of him in the movie. I mean, you got to have Freeze. I mean, a good man at heart that really just wants to save his wife. But again, goes down a path of darkness where Batman, tries to sway him away from that dark side, right? And then the Penguin, who just, again, is a character that just uses his madness, his deformity to basically wreak havoc on society. I mean, you got to have the Penguin there. And then, of course, we have here the comic Superfans version of the Riddler. Riddler is one of my favorite villains. I think he would be number 3 or 4 on my list. Definitely plays a big part in the Batman universe, especially the new movie with Pattinson. I mean, look what the Riddler did to Pattinson in that movie. He was just absolutely chaos. I mean, Batman was really struggling to figure out what this guy's up to. He's truly a madman. Behind that grin and smile and that green suit there and the purple gloves there, gauntlet gloves, this is a real madman here that, you really don't want to mess with. And he's crazy. You know what I mean? That's what I love. These characters, these villains in the Batman universe, they're insane, right? And that's behind their wits, their smiles, they have alternative motives. You know what I mean? It's kind of like real life. It's like you have people that smile in front of you, but behind, what is their motives? What are they really up to? So, thanks for watching, guys. Take care.